Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here today to watch OPDVLAM kind of carry me through this cast yet again. And yes, welcome to your first debut on HFRTS.
Well, thank you. Very excited to be here. Think we got some amazing games upcoming. There are some top players gonna play some amazing games, and yeah, I'm ready to hop into it.
Now, you encounter these players a lot because, of course, you guys run weekly or monthly events to make sure that these guys stay in top form. Now, either of these players, Baltune and B, are they regulars over there in your world?
Not really. Like we run a lot of the War Chief Club, and we do have some regular top players like Myriad, Saz, Valdi. Those are a couple of guys who play a lot in our tournaments. B doesn't really do that, and Baltune is more of a team player than a solo tournament player. So it's fun to see him in this tournament.
Now, Baltune being a team player, we see in his 1v1 playstyle. So, funnily enough, with Baltune, you have a man who is very committed to the units you only see in team games, aka night only compositions, the thing that plagues every team ladder out there. But now, today, he needs to prove to us that he's ready to take down Mr. B, and you guys know B has been looking fierce. And for both of these players, it will be their first time in Serbia, so let's see which one will make it through. Do you have any predictions here today?
Oh, that's really tough because B is known as a top player who has a very specific playstyle, and Baltune's just solid. Like he's so consistent and he just plays a lot. From what I've heard, he did train for this tournament, so I've high hopes for him. Yeah, I think it can go either way. It can go either way.
Okay. Well, in my case, guys, I am a huge believer for this one because, especially with his current performances, he's just shown us constantly that he is someone to be feared. But at the same time, I also want the tuna to make it all the way. But guys, we do have our first two civilizations, Golden Horde and Rus on Gorge here. Now, Rus, a few seasons ago, I remember the trauma we get from just seeing all those horse archers flourish around. But guys, we'll talk about that a little bit more as these two are ready for us to roll right in. So ladies and gents, let's go on in. Game number one. Ooh, and I need to
Okay, let's
switch.
do some proper introductions, I guess. Yeah, so in the south, in the color red, playing as the roots, it's the fish, it's Baltune.
I love how passionate you are always with your introductions, OptiVlam. It's an inspiration here. But
Yeah. It's like the ready to rumble kind of vibe, you know? Do you want to do B or shall I?
no, let me take the man who's making all the buzz around here, the brother, the only, a fellow Slavic man who wants to come to Serbia, yes, Mr. B of the Golden Horde. And as we know, these two civilizations, we're not expecting any crazy shenanigans from them in the early game, but the big question we usually have for ourselves is how does this early scouting pay off, especially when you know your opponent is going for multiple scouts?
Oh yeah, the scouting is always a huge issue on most maps, but on HC Gorge it's kind of fixed. So if you watched the map beforehand, you can kind of know where the sheeps are, you know, in the neighborhood. So you can already plan out your plotting before the games even begin. So I expect them to have about the same amount of sheep after the scouting phase.
Now it seems like Baltune was a little bit more sneaky with those scouts, out scouting B, and B, he's been a guy who's really good at this early scout game especially. He knows his roots, he knows exactly what to prepare for, but in this case it looks like Baltuna came out on top. Now there's a 5 sheep difference, and of course Baltune is the man who most likely is going to go for that professional scouting situation. I was about to, oh my goodness, he changes his mind, OptiVLAM. But this is going to be a crazy one. We finally see a little bit more of the Kremlin. Time and time again, we have been seeing the Golden Gate, but slowly but surely, people are changing their minds, though.
Yeah, Kremlin was pretty popular when Roots went into 2TC play. We did see a double hunting cabin opening for Baltune, so he's got some additional gold income. He can make scouts while he's researching professional scouts. Kremlin, really nice defensive landmark. It shoots arrows, it can garrison villagers. You can even spawn some gremlins. These are like spearmen who can defend your base against any cavalry aggression. Yeah, good landmark in general.
Yeah, Kremlin, we have seen a lot in the earlier stages of the game, but what the Kremlin provides is actually something a lot deeper. It's the protection, of course, so that you can go into that fast castle. Now, the 2TC play is making a bit of a comeback here for Mr. Tuna, though, and he's not saying anything about going fast castle. He wants to go straight for that second TC, already putting 8 out here. He knows the power of Golden Horde to be able to do something in the early stages, especially with that Khan that they get out pretty early on. But interestingly enough, we've seen building cards twice now at this event, and B is the one taking number 3 and going for that building cards as well. Now, I'm excited about building cards because it just gives you such a heavy presence on the map early on. And sure, your Khan and your tour goods are not cheaper, but building cards, they make real units.
Yeah, and the building cards just give you a kind of tempo and to start a feudal age or even at castle age. Like they spawn additional buildings when you get castle age, and you can immediately drop down your monastery to get those relics. And you can turn those relics into Uvu, which gives you a lot of stone income, and Golden Horde loves the stone.
Now with those stone upgrades, we've been seeing Golden Horde just spiral out of control here, but the Uwu is already under siege quite well. We do see an archery range being the weapon of choice and a barracks. Again, same type of play we've been seeing from most players on the Golden Horde time and time again. But now scouts will need to be a little bit careful as the Khan has made his way onto the field. Now, looking at the movement speed, you guys can see these guys are pretty much equal, so they're not going to be able to do any crazy shenanigans. The Khan is just gonna have to respond to everything around, and a spearman is called to the fight because he knows he needs to do something about this. If they get the Uwu or just get a lot of idle time on a villager trying to repair it, it's already pretty massive.
Yeah, and a nice thing about the barracks and archery range, you immediately got your triple composition because you got the Khan and the turrets from stone from your golden 10, and you got your spearmen from the barracks, your archers from the archery range. So you've got all the 3 components of the army composition, and that's really difficult for the opponent to deal with.
And the scouts are still causing a lot of havoc, but Bart, there's some shenanigans happening. The man is going for a very far out TC, and this is something we saw from Rus yesterday as well. Feeling quite confident about this, but B, he doesn't go in blind, and you can see that he knows what the potential is. When you're not going for pro scouts, of course, you have to make sure that you do capture a bit of the deer. Because with the deer, this is just something Rus loves to get, because that bounty, the sweet, sweet bounty of hunted meat.
Yeah, and this was an easy decision for Baltune, because that's the nice thing about having 3 scouts. He didn't have an eye on the Khan, on the Batu, so he knew the Batu was in the base and could safely go out for the deer pack. Getting as much outer food as possible for farm transition is always good for you, because you can invest those resources into more military. But we see 2 villagers coming out from B. I wonder what they're up to.
Now those villagers are usually going in packs of 2. You want to secure that tower pretty well, but Baltune fast on the reactions and the tour goods, taking a little bit of arrow fire already, but it already tells Baltune that, hey, this man might be playing quite aggressive and I can't just sit there and not make anything. Now behind this though, he goes for survival techniques, not needing that pro scouts, and the production buildings are finally added in. Those 2 vills though, they're still looking at a nice target to put that tower on, and it looks like it will be the gold. But these tour good numbers, they are scary enough even under 1 TC.
Yeah, Baltune's gonna defend with his own units, because we already saw a stable coming up and an archery barracks, I mean. So Baltune's gonna make units to defend his base and slowly build up his eco, because he's on 2 TC, so he's scaling, like he's making more villagers than B is. And at some point he will have more resources and more army to defeat B. That's probably the plan.
Now, with the farm transition already coming in from Baltune, I love this. Seeing those early sneaky farms, of course, when you are you add more sheep. When you have the deer pack, it's great, but only 8 villagers can gather under this TC, and he knows this. This is going to be constant pressure. The fortified outpost making its way up. Now, this bad boy is pretty expensive, of course, and this is a significant investment for him, but definitely worthwhile forcing your opponent off of the gold. With him not going for the golden gate, it doesn't put him in a great spot regarding being able to switch over some resources, but with those farms, he's just extending his food for so much longer.
Oh yeah, in theory it's really good if you can add in like 2 or 3 farms every couple of minutes, and you get a way more easier farm transition. You don't have to like build 20 farms in like 5 minutes and your food eco is gonna drop, and then you have to wait a couple minutes before it gets going again. Getting cut off gold is kind of bad, you know, it's not something you like. There is a gold vein on top of the second TC, but then your eco is very widely spread. It's more difficult to defend your base. So I'm guessing just a lot of units, and we also see a ram coming in for B. He's going for it.
Already being aggressive enough at 9 minutes here. Now, I always talk about the timer, and a lot of people, when they watch these games, they're like, oh, 2TC, you have to punish it. Yes, you do. But you do have a little bit of a timer in your mind here, and it's usually around 11 minutes. By 11 minutes, you need to have done some damage to this second TC or the economy significantly. Otherwise, it has paid off. Now, B is looking at doing that a lot earlier, fully investing into his units and already getting the +1 ranged upgrade as well. Doing a little bit of the clown bar shenanigans, but we do see that Baltune is in position and already getting that secondary tower to make sure that there can be more villages safeguarded around this area.
Yeah, the additional tower and the wooden fortress for roost, it's a little bit stronger tower than your average tower. Really helps a lot with the defending. You can even pop some gremlins at the TC with the Kremlin to defend his base even more easier. It's gonna be really difficult for B trying to take this TC down.
Now getting into a little bit of a sneak, he gets closer, but we can see that is going to be a +1 range defense almost coming in. He does pull back, he doesn't want to risk anything here, but the spearman numbers are scary enough for him to have to respect this. When you have a ton of archers, it's okay, but those spears, they are going to make quick work of these tour goods, and you can see Baltune does not look too panicked at all. He's making the units he can, getting into a few archers himself. You can see completely deterred from that gold, not going to be focusing on that at all. He's getting the passive gold from all of this, 100 gold per minute, just passively from gathering food, getting the hunted meat, and of course, but leaving the ram alone for a moment here, and it already takes a significant chunk of damage. Getting the ram down is going to be massive at this stage of the game, because that's exactly the main thing you're going to be fighting against, but does not get that lucky. B will be getting that ram for a bit longer, and most likely reinforcing with yet another one. But behind it, he is floating those resources a little bit upwards, though.
Yeah, maybe even going for a castle transition, like he recognizes that the push isn't gonna be able to do anything. Baltune going really heavy in the spearmen, already 20 spearmen on the field, trying to protect his eco. Ram going in and coming down, so that's goodbye for the ram, and that's gonna be the end of B's push, and we're gonna see a castle in a moment.
Getting a castle age for Golden Horde feels good, usually. The thing is, it just doesn't feel like B is able to really break through this yet. Baltune is going to be able to rotate those units elsewhere if they need to, and that's exactly what happens here. Gets the militia to try and burn down this fortified outpost, but you can see with that extra HP, it's taking a long time to get there. The militia, though, they definitely are going to be able to put a decent chunk into this, and it forces the army of B to respond.
Yeah, and what B managed to do is keep Baltune in his base, so he doesn't have that much info about what B's doing. He also made Baltune invest in a lot of units, so he needs that time, because getting to castle age takes time for Golden Horde. It's not like you build it with 10 villagers, 8 villagers, 30 villagers. It's the same like with Abyssite. There's just a set time for the age up, and you have to wait that out.
Yeah, Muscovy Yasak being the age up of choice here. And of course, when now Baltune sees this type of response, he's going to be able to go for castle pretty quickly. Now, it doesn't look like he's reacting just yet to go back onto that gold. Still slowly doing that farm transition. I am in love with this spot. This is disgusting. You're putting yourself into the late game already. You're just making sure that your constant presence is not going to be able to be challenged. But the moment he hears that age up, he is going to need to speed up himself as well. But he's got the advantage now, and he could be pushing out with almost a 20 villager advantage. This doesn't feel bad at all.
Yeah, Baltune smelling something fishy because the pressure is off, so he knows he's doing something else and investing into units, and he's gonna take a look. So he's probably gonna arrive at his base just when the age up finishes, which is a really good time to be at your opponent's base because they need gold for the upgrades, they need time for the upgrades, and you can get some value from that position. It's gonna be an exciting moment.
Now we do see that B is preparing himself for the dives that will be coming soon. Already getting 2 fortified outposts on this gold, but the Uwu might just pay the price. B now investing into a bit more archers with this age up being pending. And it does push Baltune away for a moment here, but behind it we see he's already reinvested his villagers onto gold, and he's planning for going castle himself. Now getting a few blacksmith upgrades as well, the +1 ranged armor coming in, especially with this heavy archer focus from B.
Yeah, Baltune also getting his walls up, so he's got a safe place to hide behind. He can more tunnel the opponent's army into a certain spot, which is easier to defend. It's just getting those relics gonna be an issue. I hope he doesn't give away all the relics and tries to contest a couple of the 3 knights that he has.
Now we do see a poor little villager paying the price, but Baltune says, I've got a lot more to spare. You can keep doing this. I'm just getting my walls up and delaying it as much as I need. Now, with the building cards, I was actually trying to take a look to see exactly what he went for, but I've got no clue, but this poor guy, he is keeping that a secret, but Abbey of Trinity is coming on out. And honestly, after having your farm set up like this, it makes a ton of sense. You want to get out and get those relics as quick as you can, knowing that your opponent is most likely thinking about that as well.
Yeah, like the high trade house gives a lot of gold, but he has plenty of gold that gives deer, but he already has his farms and opportunity at some special resources for the warrior monks, which buffs the army even more if you manage to add a couple of it to your army composition. And if they hit an opponent's unit, they will buff a lot of your units. So they're really powerful if they are used correctly.
Now, getting into a spot where you're fighting under the main TC is usually not where most people want to be. Now, these units in front here, they're also not of the variety that can take a lot of shots. A lot of these being unarmored units, so he should be able to just target fire the things that he wants to thin out. But we see Baltune already doing a little bit of a switch here. He's going straight for that man-at-arms, and it makes a lot of sense. You're dealing with a guy who's very happily diving into you. And men-at-arms, they are going to provide the front line you need to make sure your archers and those handful of spears are going to be able to do the work. Spears being the main focus here to get up to veterancy, but the tower will pay the price. Luckily, the tower was the only thing that went down there.
Yeah, one will pay this price onto the farm, but we've got a big engagement now. There's a lot of arrow fire. Veterancy not in yet. Kind of early to fight, but I think it's gonna be fine because, like you said, all those units, they don't have much high ranged armor against all the arrow fire from those TC and from that tower. And Baltune trying his best to take down all these units, but it seems there's so much and there are even more streaming in. This is gonna be troublesome.
Oh, this is looking very scary. For a moment there, I thought Baltune was fine, but the men-at-arms are just not doing what they need to, and Baltune taps out. That was a very quick surrender after it went wrong.
That's just because he knows how it's gonna play out. Like he can still play the game and let all the wheels turn, and you know, but you lost your army. You're not that long in castle yet, so units are gonna keep on streaming in, and it's really difficult out of that situation of constant units streaming into your base, especially if there are knights or men-at-arms or other high armor units.
So this is usually where things can go wrong when you hit that castle age timing and you just don't have the units out to survive the push. But honestly, I did not think this was going to go as well for B. B, it felt like he zoned in, he knew exactly what he needed to work through, and he did it perfectly. So, yeah, Audrey Bird saying in chat that he had a good window opportunity, and he got it. Exactly. I don't think Baltune was emotionally prepared for that, especially not the amount of pushing that came out of it. It was wild. Now, after being a little bit surprised, we are still catching up to these two. So, guys, we get to go into the next game as well with China against JD. And, of course, JD as a civilization, I would like to see more on Baltune's side, but B, the sneaky man, he picked it away.
So we're on dry Arabia, the driest of Arabia's maps. I see a lot of small woodlines on the left side of the map. B immediately going for the deer in the middle. This is a crazy wood spawn if you can't take control of that section of the map. Like, how are you gonna get wood?
Yeah, these are nice to go between if you have a bunch of knights just trying to circle and throw off any attackers on top of them. Now, Baltune playing China. China and JD are two civs that you usually don't see in most matchups, mostly because China is banned, but also with the knights, I don't always expect this to go too well for China because they just don't have that early game presence as we do see from the JD. Of course, with China, you like to go for pro scouts. Back in the day, JD also always going for pro scouts, but now with a move like this, you can already see that B is not planning at doing anything like that.
Oh no, B's are probably planning on aggression like most French and JD players. They just want to fight it out a feudal with their royal knights and some archers as backup against the spears. China, they like the pro scout so they can get some food in and then jump up to castle, because if you manage to get to castle kinda unscathed, you can go into lancers, and lancers beat both the royal knights and the archers, because you got H3 knights fighting against H2 knights and archers don't counter knights. And that's gonna be the critical thing, probably getting up to castle without too much of damage.
Oh, and that is going to be a tough one when you're playing against an aggressive player like B. We can already see from the previous game exactly what he has in store for his opponents today. And what I love about this build from B, he goes for survival techniques into the wheelbarrow because he knows at some point he might be forced off of these deer and he doesn't want to waste too much time having to run back slowly. So he knows he doesn't need to get out there as quick as possible, but does start rushing it up for himself here with the School of Cavalry. Now, of course, nothing else was expected. This man was always going to go School of Cavalry. But now the big question is going to be, where does the first knight strike?
Yeah, and Baltune going for an Imperial Academy because he can make Imperial officials. Imperial officials can supervise your mill or your mining camp or your lumber camp, and you get additional resources. They can also supervise military buildings, so they increase production speed, and they also collect tax. That's a little bit of extra gold income, because all Chinese players have to pay tax.
Now, of course, reminding us a little bit about real life here. Realizing, hey, maybe tax payments are the norm. Ooh, but this scout is being a little feisty. B, face checking this pretty heavily. But Baltune does go put down that stable. And let's see, did B... I think B may have just been out of vision for that second when it plops down. But of course, he's doing this for one specific reason. We see that reason already starting to stack up with the resources as he is thinking about going for pro scouts himself.
Yeah, Pro Scout probably gonna be the play because you got a lot of safe food underside your TC at your mill. You only have to supervise that mill because all the food is there. So your other IOs can either collect tax or supervise military buildings. Already 4 Imperial officials, that's a lot already in between 5 minutes. So that's a big investment. China does have Imperial Academy, so Imperial officials are a little bit cheaper and they don't block any villager space in the TC. Like with Sushi, you have to sacrifice a villager to build an Imperial official and be going for a tower.
Now, this is the responsible choice, and I like the fact that we have a knight that didn't go for the harassment, because of course China, they have a very tight base. This is not something you usually get to raid too early on if once they've pulled off of gold. And this is kind of what B knew he was going to be running into, especially considering he delayed his first night by just getting more upgrades and slowing himself down a bit. Now with that one horse, he's able to do a little bit of damage here, Baltune, and he might not be able to get a villager, but it just gets a little bit of a reaction from B. Behind that, already going for the pro scouts and following up with a nice little barracks to respond to those knights that will be imminently charging in under the TC.
Yeah, getting those horsemen on the goal, it forces idle time, forces distraction. You got the knights chasing those horsemen, so the knights won't be at your base. We do have Jean d'Arc, the melee version, so it's got cleave. It's probably gonna hunt some boars for experience, because Jean d'Arc is a special hero unit JD has. It has some abilities like Consecrate, it makes your military buildings produce cheaper. It has cleave, it does a lot of damage around her. It has an heal, and if it ages up, it even gets stronger. And she's chasing away the scout from the deer right now.
Now this is great to slow down your opponent, but we have to keep in mind, Baltune does have another pack out on the other side. Now, B already in position to shut that one down, and we had an eye a little bit on this knight to see what the plan was, but with the amount of spearmen we see here from Baltune, he's not really ready to contest this. And JD, she's just providing that layer of protection you need to make sure that she does, or that your knights don't get taken down by the spears. But the scout here, it will pay the price if it stands around for too long. But no, B is a fast man and quickly pulls the scout away. But of course, the knight will be here to also put that presence down. The problem is just, there's not any spears to contest the other ones.
No, B doing really well with the scouting. He knows exactly where Baltune is and what he's doing and what he can expect, and trying to prevent the pro scouting as much as he can. The spears are of course really good against the Royal Knights, but they have to watch out for the JD, because the cleave, it could hit like easily 5 to 6 spears and do massive amount of damage if he doesn't care.
Now, with these two screens, you can see there is a little bit of a in and out when it comes to the knights from both sides. He's trying to make a nice good old sandwich, and that's just B in a nutshell for you. Someone who can attack on every single corner all the time. He's reading this game like a book, and luckily for him, this book is written in Russian because it's fluent. And now we can see JD already snacking on a bit of experience here on the side. Ooh, getting a horseman kill behind this, but frontlining for her knights, making sure the army is still kept safe.
Yeah, be actively using those consecrations. It's 0-4, so you got a couple of buildings that produce units with less food, so we can put those villagers on other resources. He only has 16 on food. That's for JD or friends ain't that much. And JD loves to fight it out in feudal, because every fight you take is XP for her. And if she gets to level 3, it's gonna be a massive increase in her powers.
Now, with the units from Baltune, he's got the pro scouts, right? So he is the one with a little bit more food coming in. The problem is just he needs to find a way to do some real damage to these knights, because of course B has gotten his value from his deer and now on to the next pack. So with the food split being kind of even in the end, it still feels a little bit better here for JD. Like you said, those cheaper units, she gets to call out to the skies, make sure that there's a discount on these. And now a knight is not 140 food, it's just 105, like a chunky little horseman.
Yeah, that's a huge difference, and B's just poking around. You already got a couple of eco upgrades, because for instance JD has cheaper eco upgrades, and they do increase 15% of your villager gathering rate. So horticulture, double broad axe, the mining upgrade are really good to have. And we see him poking down and forth, but not really engaging, both just, testing each other like, am I stronger, are you stronger, what are we gonna do?
Now, we can see behind this, both of them are starting to stack up a little bit of gold. Now, of course, there's constant knight production from B, but this is what we see from B pretty often. He's a guy who looks at his timing, he keeps producing, he's very responsible about this, making sure that he's got enough units on the field without slowing down, and then just naturally, start going up. But Baltune as well, floating quite a bit of gold here, so needs to make a decision if this is just gonna be turned into actually going for, you know, a dynasty. But aside from that, or just going for a pure castle age as well. Now, with Baltune moving out here on the map, of course, going for the boar, you need the extra food. You need any way to get that extra bit of food, but the problem is your opponent, he's got that mobile army and he's looking straight at you.
Yeah, and the mobility is such an important statistic in RTSs because you can decide when to fight and you can run around in circles around somebody's base trying to get value and not really the engagement, like it's poking again but not really committing. Baltune's trying to commit because he notices he has the bigger army. A big cleave by JD there.
But not enough to actually do the significant damage. And the problem is JD is next on the chopping block. She might go down here, but the Knights, they have something to say about the JD healing up everyone, but going down herself, just getting that last hurrah down. And B losing a lot of units here, but not panicking, not making too much more behind this. Now Baltune, he's taken a very favorable fight. B realizes, I can't keep doing this. He's going straight to find some damage.
This was an amazing fight by Baltune, like this is huge. He now has a way bigger army. Be trying to distract him and keep him in his base by running around, but you just want to scare the Knights away with your reinforcements and you want to go to his base. You don't want to get distracted. B is even trying to transition to castle, but I don't think he can do that anymore because he has a huge army in front of his base.
And he realizes this, quickly queuing up a handful of knights here, but you can see that knight raiding party is supposed to be made to throw Baltune off. And Baltune, he sees all these spots where the villagers used to be, but B, he does not want to lose anyone in this. So quickly walling up, just making sure that everyone is safe, and he's going to be able to rotate around here pretty fast. Baltune sniffs those villagers, but will not find anyone to kill unless he pushes deeper for those berries.
Oh, this is amazing cat and mouse game between units and villagers. The villagers trying the best to hide in the forest, duking and running away, and the military sniping one villager right there, chasing them off as gold as well, and B's under pressure.
Oh, B is pulling everyone to safety, really hoping for a miracle here, but at the same time, Baltune is not finding a significant amount of damage. That, to be said, is something that's still pretty scary for him. Because, of course, with JD's discounted units, it starts to stack up. And those knights, they're causing a lot of idle time out there for the China. And we see a market coming down for B. He needs to get alternative ways of getting the resources for those knights.
And that position time coming in for Baltune. He's floating a lot of gold. He could invest that in a couple of eco upgrades. He could even trade it out with the market as well. Also a lot of wood. He could think about castle. There's so much he can do. He's like in a pole position. He can dictate the tempo. He can dictate the pace. The Baltune's gonna decide what we're gonna do next, and B has to follow.
Now what B's doing really smart here is keeping his army at his base. Yes, the knights got cleaned up. But at some point, this army is going to be completely disconnected, and that's exactly what happened here to Baltune. His army, all the way out here on the map, means that the ones that reinforced are still going to be on his side. Now, B just feels a little bit more confident about taking this fight. JD is in position to snack on some experience as well, because that's a scary amount of knights.
Oh yeah, this is the mobility issue that we were talking about earlier. Like you said, we had reinforcements on our base trying to defend the raiding party, but then you have two small armies on the map, and B can just mess up again, and that's he has a big enough mess. He tries to engage again, and Baltune doesn't really want to. He just wants to get home.
Oh, he wants to get to those reinforcements as well, but the spears are not just going through the archers. JD is just snacking on some free experience without being punished. Now getting to the front, she's starting to take quite a bit of damage, but every single time the archers fire, they lose another man or two. Now the spear's just not able to make that connection as is needed, and B, he's investing into chivalry already, so even if these knights do take a bit of damage, he is not going to be worried too much. JD does pay the price though, and that's a pretty big loss, but B feels, hey, this is important, I need to bring her back, and she's already back onto the field, straight back towards the fight, and this tells us exactly what B is thinking. We're going to keep on pushing.
Yeah, losing JT again is huge because B really needs to force something with his military advantage right now. Baltune playing defensive, gotten some walls up, got some control of the map, and he can just sit back and let B come. It's like a wave trying to hit the rock every time again. And at some point, Baltune is just hoping that the wave just stops.
Now, Baltune heading up to Castle. This is a risky move, and it might just be the risky move that we saw from the previous game as well, because him going up to Castle would mean that he stops making units, and that's exactly what he started to do ages ago. But B is still fully focused on that feudal, ensuring that he is going to be able to handle anything that comes out of Baltune's base. Baltune doing that farm transition here at the back too. We see this from Baltune now more than once. The man is not scared to go early farms. He wants to extend that food source. He needs to make sure that his army is nice and fed. But the Imperial Palace is coming up. The problem is just the moment it does, there's going to be a pretty heavy push here.
Oh, and JD getting a lot of damage again, not going down, but a big chunk of her health is gone already. I love how Baltune is picking up a couple of these knights, like baiting the braids, and if he gets the knight or two, he immediately pushes past the knight so he can take them down and they can flee and heal themselves up. Castle coming in for Baltune, immediately the archer upgrade, we got a ranged attack upgrade coming in, and now Baltune just needs a little bit of time. B trying to get his castle as well, trying to get as much damage in and as much value as he can, but has to back off.
Now, with the veterancy for the archers, I'm left asking myself the question, were the archers really the best choice here? Now, of course, JD losing her life.
Again.
Yeah, no, this girl, she was overextending again and
That's
again.
the third time already.
But she's back. You can see B knows the value of this woman. He respects his Whamen, ensuring that she is alive on the field and ready for that fight the moment he ages up. Now, with the veterancy in for the archers, that's great and all, but we know knights, they don't really care about 30 archers, especially not when they are veteran variety. And already queuing that up, that's exactly what B is going to be waiting for here. These spears are still very much feudal age, and sure, we're getting a handful of lancers, but 16 knights, this is not something that those 34 archers are going to have any chance at.
I think the archer is nice simply because it prevents B from going into spears himself. It's not really typical for JD friends of going into spears, but Belt is adding in lancers now, so he's got this knight archer composition, and if he just gets his mass up of lancers, I think he can do a lot of damage.
Now we do see a Barbican being plopped down. It is going to be forward. Now with the Barbican, you get access to your extra gold here at the front right now. There were some smaller ones. This one is a little bit more risky. But with the veterancy about to kick in, not just for the knights, but the archers too, these are going to be scary. And what I'm really surprised about is Baltune is still stuck on those feudal spears. So the feudal spears, he might be going for 2 lances total, but those feudal spears are going to have a pretty hard time against these knights. And you can see he knows this. He's ready to take this with the knights already stepping forward. Archers, they're tickling. And of course, you don't want to get your knights picked off, but the numbers, the sheer numbers are going to be so scary. And more spears being queued up, and finally the upgrade as well.
Yeah, nice cleave about JD, and JD getting level 3, so she's got her horse now. She also got some bonus units she can spawn now. That's a big cleave again. That's like 2 cleaves in a row that are doing massive amount of damage, and Baltune stuck in front of zone gate.
Now it does sound like there was a Warlord going over the back here, but we can see those spear numbers completely cleaned up. And that's the beauty of fighting against feudal age spears when all your units are already of the veteran variety. Quickly, Baltune learning we cannot take a fight like that. And game number 2 also going to be, guys, let this not be a 3-0, because Baltuna, we've been waiting to see his rise, but that did not look like a rise at all.
Now some massive cleaves by JD. We lost JD a couple of times, but in the last fight we got 3 huge cleaves, and clumped, all those units clumped up together. You get such insane amount of damage. That's just really difficult to stop.
Yeah, the Castle Age for both these games, it feels like that Castle Age is the breaking point for the Tuna. And Honestly, looking at our next civilizations, I feel that maybe B cooked here. He cooked this draft significantly. Now, and again, we see him on a civilization that would be one of Baltune's favorites to go for, and that is the French. But guys, let's hop into game number 3. Baltune and B on a nice all. What is this map called again? Now I gotta ask
This
you,
map
Bart.
is Coastal Cliffs.
Coastal Cliffs, yes, of course. Yes, guys, sometimes it does escape the brain. In the red, on the Ilalu, I don't know, the Ilalu Chad civilization, we just have the Malians with Baltune in the driving seat. He is looking at making this a better day for himself than poor Max Verstappen had this morning.
Yeah, on the east side of the map, in the color green, playing as a French, we got the one and only 3DB.
Now, with Mr. B on the French, we are expecting to see a lot of raids. And with raids, we gotta talk about them spawns. Because
Did you
Bart...
just say B just wants to be friend?
Oh, nobody wants
I
to
don't
be
know.
French. Calm
He
down.
wants to be friends.
Ah, there we go.
Eh.
Sorry. Nah, it's okay. I just missed the pun. I'm sorry. It's because I
Yeah,
have some... Yeah?
yeah, I have to drop some dad jokes here and there, of course, because I'm old, so I'm allowed to.
Oh yes, and you have kids! Oh my goodness. I just have Gigi Dog. And giving birth to Gigi Dog was definitely hard work enough.
Yeah, but you know what they say, in the end, it gives a lot of back, you know? You get a lot of back from your kids.
Now, with the dad jokes in an arsenal, I need to be prepared because I recently did a DNA test and I found out I'm very German. So unfortunately, I might miss
Ja,
those.
Deutschland.
Yeah.
Ja.
A lot of
Hä,
Dutch.
wie geht's?
A lot of Dutch, but maybe the German is destroying my humor. Sorry, guys. It's the genetics all coming together. But I want to take a second here and look at the fact that we now see Pitmine here with that extra house. Because a lot of the times players are either just going for that first tree, not the second one, but with this you do get that extra bit of wood. And that wood that you get, it just means another house, a lot more extra gold. And when you do see that, you know that the follow-up is naturally getting that triple cow pretty quickly. Now, the difference of that wood, usually this means that you are a little bit delayed in getting that first ranch, but you do have your cows on standby already. But of course, School of Cavalry coming out from Mr. B, no surprises there. And again, the man, he loves his deer.
Yeah, that's what you do as a player. Try to play as greedy as possible and then try to then get punished for it, because if you play greedy, you got yourself set up better for later stage of the game. And if you don't play greedy, you're just gonna fall behind. But yeah, play too greedy, you get punished for it. Going for the 7 houses for the early cows, that's Baltune's way of playing greedy because he's not expecting any Dark Age aggression. It's not really typical for friends going those Dark Age spirits to try and burn down those houses and pit mine. So it's like, yeah, I can get away with it, so let's do that.
Now, of course, Baltune is going to see what's going on here. And now with the boar information also on his side, this is massive. Getting this info already puts him in a spot where he's like, okay, I need to be present on this map. And you can see that scout, he's already got a victim in mind. And this Mali and Spicy scouts, they are eventually gonna be victims, but we do see they fight back just in time and the scout needs to back off, at least for now. But that low HP villager, he's a sitting duck.
It's only 2 HP, like that's just 2 hits from a regular scout. And for Warrior Scout, I don't know if Baltune already has the upgrade, I don't think he does. Oh no, he's going barracks, he's going defensive Donzos.
And this, it makes sense. Of course, getting your Donzos is going to be very important when you're up against the Nightman, but it still feels pretty rough knowing that you are the one who wants to shut down a little bit of a greedy move here. And even greedier from B as he decides to bring more villagers to be snacking on the deer and the boar.
Yeah, if he knows Baltune's going into defensive Donzos, he can just go out on the map for more resources. Second pit mine coming up. Baltune going for the defensive macro play, and you know, French once again just gonna be banging on this door trying to kill him, and Baltune's gonna sit back and beat the rock.
Now, with this knight making his way across the map, you gotta ask yourself, where does he want to strike? Because, of course, with this knight, you wanna at least do a bit of damage. Damage with Marlians can be denying that second pit mine. It can be just getting a villager, plain up, plain up. But at the same time, you just want to slow down the Malians' economy. Now, French, they don't struggle like other civilizations to stay up to date with Malians because they just get more villagers. But, ooh, this looks like Baltune overstayed his welcome and the first villager will go down. That was the damage that I was talking about.
Yeah, nice pick up by B. Donzo being out of position just for a couple of seconds, just a couple of tiles, and immediately get punished for it by losing a villager.
Now the second night is underway and B is very quick to switch to that archery range already. Most players, when they play French, they love to go for that secondary stable, just pump out a bunch of knights. But on a map like this, you don't have the same area space where you can run around and raid. You actually need to be quite conservative about this. So he knows this. Already having that archer there provides an extra layer of denial as we see that villager having to pull back yet again. The Donzos, they get a good stick, but at the same time, they still have to be careful of that archer pushing forwards.
Yeah, the Spearman against Night Battle is so difficult. Just like you saw, he did a melee charge on those Donzos, so they got a lot of damage because the distance was too short to do a brace. They're trying to pick off the archers with their spear throw that's on a cooldown for like every 15 seconds or something. But it's really difficult because the knights have the mobility, they just can run around and the spears have to follow them, and it's really difficult to have a good engagement with them.
I love this. Look at that. Baltune just putting back. He knows the limitations of the Donzos and he also knows the strengths. And he says, all I need is more Donzos. I'm just going to keep on sniping. And we can see them going off of cooldown again, almost ready to get that next hit on the archers. And the archer numbers are not big enough to contest this just yet. But Baltune is going for a unit we haven't seen in a few days, and that is the Javelin Thrower. The Javelin Thrower dealing with archers so quickly, but of course costing gold, which is why a lot of Malian players just prefer to go for cows instead of good old javelins.
Yeah, Javelin, they're the counter against archer because they do additional damage against ranged units. They have a kind of slow attack speed and fuel, so they're really good in small amounts, so in small masses. But once you get to this big masses, it's so difficult because you tend to overkill and it's hard to kite and stuff like that. But you know, if you just can chase away B with the knights and archers, you can just chase them back again and maybe hop to castle or something. There's a lot of stuff you can do.
And you can see quickly with these Donzos, he's just providing that layer of protection that Javelin, single Javelin needs to keep on poking these archers. The archers themselves are really doing good work against the Donzos, but the problem is just, it requires a lot more micro from B than it does from Baltune.
Yeah, nice getting a lot of damage in. Another big melee charge by those 5 knights. So Donzos are kind of low on HP, but I see a lot of them already renewed, so they died and new ones already on the field. Second pit mine coming up now and even more production.
And going for that second archery range, I like this. Now, I hope for his sake that this is not just a bunch of javelin throwers, because of course, javelin throwers are great, love that, but at the same time, it's so scary to control them as the game goes on. But B is actually, I was going to say, he's not investing that much into more archers, but he does get another scout, because time and time again, we see the pro players say one thing consistently, and that is, vision is the most important thing in this game. So now with Chivalry, he's going to be able to just heal those knights up that may have taken a little bit of poking, and finally get into a spot where these knights are going to be able to go in and get out, hopefully unscathed. The problem is just, Donzos are so good at punishing this.
Yeah, and we have more and more Donzos and Javelin throwers coming in, maybe even getting in Farimba and Castle Age, but already 9 cows are out, so we already have 3 cattle ranches filled. We got some walls on the east side of the base, I mean on the west side of Belgium's base, so knights are there, but they won't get any value. They will be stopped by walls. That's one of the best counters against knights, just having a lot of walls.
And those knights, they're looking for a way
it's not
in.
finished?
Oh, there's a hole in the wall? Oh, and they're gonna find a victim. But only one victim. I saved just one victim, but I cursed the poor man. These villagers... Oh, he doesn't want to commit to this. The TC fire deters him just a bit and doesn't want to sacrifice any more knights. But if he knew there was a whole army out of position here, he would have been very happy to continue.
Yeah, this is the thing against spears and knights as well. You always have to be on top of the knights with your spears, but if you're out of position one time, you can easily lose like 2 or 3 villagers, and their friends can just back off if he sees a lot of spears. B, adding a little bit more resources, they're piling a little bit up. I wonder what he's gonna do.
Now, we do see that there's one knight that got left behind that threw a split or a little picture off completely. Because with that group of knights, you of course want to have your major fight. But at the same time, while your opponent's distracted, that's where this bad boy will come in and do the work he needs to win this for him. But now, a lot more javelins in this army, but a ton of donzos. This is not going to be an easy fight, and especially against this 11 Kalmalians, it's still so risky. A knight paying the price pretty quickly, with these donzos just throwing their sticks pretty aggressively.
Oh, it's gonna be so difficult for Baltune. B had such a big army. Archers picking off so many donzos, and knights do pretty well against donzos as well. If they manage to get a charge off and if you micro them properly and they can heal up again. Wall still denied, and Knight not going in for the wood line as of yet. B backing off a bit and trying to, you know, get the state of the game again.
And thank you, Demu, for the big raid. Appreciate it, good sir. But now, with these javelin numbers, it's getting scary. I don't know if B is gonna find a way through that front line of the donzos. He's got a ton of archers here, but of course, with the donzos, he's trying to use this thing on cooldown the moment they step into the range. Quickly making their move forward, but it looks like the knights, they just want to find some damage. Usually with knights, you're like, if they're standing still, they're just not doing their job. But now going straight for the charge, they pull back, they don't want to get impaled. Javelin throwers getting an archer every single time they poke their heads out. The javelins are doing the work.
Oh, and B has to think about what he want to do next, because Boar is gone. First deer pack seems to be gone. Second deer pack is already being snacked upon. So sometime soon you do have to add in a couple of farms, and that's gonna delay your push. That's gonna lose you some tempo, because if you invest into farms, you're not gonna be able to invest into army.
And that's the problem when you're up against the Malians. You have 16 cattle on the Malian ranch already. Baltune is having a lovely time with food. He's going to have a wonderful transition out of here. And we do see those villagers still trying to snack the cow that accidentally died in the middle of where his age up needs to be. And until that cow's finished, this man will not be able to age up. But we see one javelin thrower in queue, which means he is already thinking about that age up. The donzos, they need to provide the front line, but all the spears together, they kill Knight quick.
Oh, and there's a big engagement coming in now. Knights trying to brute their fourth way through. Archers trying to pick off as many donzos as possible, so the Knights are free reign. But B taking a lot of damage. It's really hard to engage into this. But Baltune also already has a lot of resources in his bank because he wanted to go castle. Does he have enough units to defend? Now he's gonna kite with those javelin throws. Gonna go into a choke point because his donzos will be more effective. And B's gonna back off a little bit, trying to get in again. It's so difficult.
Now the donzos, B knows that's all he needs to kill, but the javelin throwers are plentiful. And Baltune, he's having a pretty good time at dealing with that. Oh, he pulls the cows for the food. He runs out of food, knows he needs to eat. Quickly, just gathering from the cows, trying to stay up to date with this. He's not ready for that castle commitment. He knows the moment he goes castle, this is exactly where he's been losing games before. He needs to think this one through. Thinking it through by just... Oh my goodness, I cursed it. He goes, stops gathering, and then we'll just go castle anyway. The javelin thrower numbers, he feels confident enough in these guys, but he does need to be careful.
Yeah, Knight trying to get in some charge damage, but it's so far away. Oh, they're engaging with the dancers, not getting braced, so they can back off a little bit again. Archers kiting to trying to get as many dancers as possible. There's still 17 dancers on the field. It's a lot of kiting to kill that, and both going to castle right now. And it's a Royal Institute for B. He wants to finish this.
Oh, getting that position for yourself with both of you. Ooh, I love this. The fact that he went from Guildhall to Royal Institute, this is so B of him. But it tells you that B is planning to end this game now. He cannot wait for the late game because, of course, when you're playing against the French, or when you're playing against Malians, you know, the early to mid castle is probably where they shine brightest. But you have a few moments there before that cow economy kicks in properly. And he's most likely looking at making that game-ending damage happen right here and right now.
Yeah, I really see stables coming up for Baltune because he wants to get on those sofas. We want to get that imported armor. That's a huge upgrade for the sofas. Immediately queues up all the veteran upgrades. They're a bit quicker for the Malians. I mean cheaper, not quicker. You know, you need to know the difference. And B doing the same. So we're gonna get a castle against a castle engagement. No hole in the wall anymore. So woodline villagers are safe.
For now. Now, of course, with those knights, they are definitely still pretty scary. Even though you've got your Donzos here, now all upgraded. You see that archer upgrade still taking a while, and another archer paying the price, and another one taking a lot of damage here. And this is usually how things spiral out of control. We can see B with his raids, he's just not able to hit on the spot. These knights are doing their best at trying to find some damage, but they are purely focused on A moving and not the usual B aggression we see out of him. Quickly, a little bit of pressure here from Baltune now as he's the one pushing, and it looks like he's pushing very aggressively. Javelin throwers getting quite a few victims on the way, but B just doesn't have that archer mass to actually contest this.
Yeah, he managed to cut off those archers and pick off a lot of them. So that's a lot of army value for Baltune. There's one knight on top of Baltune base trying to get a raid in. Even though B has more villagers already because he's French, so they produce quicker. Baltune does have 18 cows to compensate. So big eco for both, and they're gonna fight over the relics any moment now.
Now, we see that B is the only man who's been thinking about the relics up until now, already having one on the way. So, he's definitely feeling okay. But, of course, the longer this game goes, the less relevant his Royal Institute ends up being. And now we're already seeing that Malian economy kick into gear. That timing I talked about is already gone.
Yeah, I haven't seen Royal Bloodlines as of yet. I don't know if you can confirm if it's already in. No, it's not in. Like, Royal Bloodline is one of the most important upgrades in the Royal Institute. Gives you 80 more HP on your Royal Knights. Javelin throwers picking off those archers again, and we got this back and forth again. You know, trying to charge in, get a lot of charge damage. Archers trying to pick off those spearmen, and the same for Baltune, trying to get rid of all these archers so the dancers have supreme reign. And we got sofas coming in now.
Now that's the difficult part in all of this. This army that B is currently losing is not replaceable. Not with the food income he has per minute now. Royal Institute finally getting that Royal Bloodlines research, but B is still bleeding units on the way to the upgrade. These archer numbers, they are so vital. And the fact that he's sacrificing these knights before the Royal Bloodlines come in, it's pretty scary, but the army is starting to thin out, and the Javelin throwers doing their best at just focusing the archers. The knight numbers, they do look like they prevail, but there's a ton more units with follow-up, and this time with horses as well.
Yeah, a lot of sofas coming in. They do really well against knights. They do really well against archers. Even get bonus damage against infantry. Javelin thrower trying to dish out damage as well, trying to pick off those low HP knights so that they won't be able to heal and won't be affected by Royal Bloodlines once it kicks in. And B on his turn trying to surround their Javelin throwers and getting a lot of good hits in.
Now, these knights are doing an amazing job, but they all will eventually get cleaned up, as we can see. The archer numbers decent enough here at the front, but now we have sofas, and these sofas are pretty much sorted when it comes to dealing with any unit that doesn't penetrate properly. There's no orbs on the field for him, and the problem is these knights, they are now officially limited edition as all the food is starting to get depleted. Berries have been snacked on. Only 4 more berry bushes, so I guess like 2.5 left. Now Baltune, he just keeps pumping units with 0 villagers on food. Look at that income.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I'm worried for B for his food transition because he's snacking on a couple of berries, but he's gonna need to stack up a lot of wood and get his farms in. And all the time, Belgium will just mess up more and more units. Even adding in a couple of Musufati, as it seems, they're really good against heavy units as well. They got bonus damage against heavy units. Most of the time used against men-at-arms. Not really real nice because they can charge into those Musufati, but I think it's just tankiness, like bulkiness.
And I think cannon fodder at this point. With those Musafatis, you also have the option of being the invisible force that runs around and just raids without you being able to keep track of them. B now moving out here onto the stone. He's about to get a little visit from the horses, and these sofas, they are not nice when they do pay a visit.
Oh, the sofas really pack a punch, and I like how Baltune is raiding with like 3 sofas on the side, while also controlling his main army, getting through some kills on the gold vein. No, they all hide into the tower, but they're cut off from all the army, so they have to run away. Manage to get out, manage to get away. Is one gonna pay the price? No, they will all survive. But did the villagers on the stone survive as well? That's the big question.
Now, the villagers on the stone were completely untouched, but those sofas, they are straight on the wood line. With the main fight here in front of us, the knights are getting completely cleaned up. There's no farm transition behind this. There's no hope of replenishing this army. But B, yeah, there we go. B taps out. He's had enough. He says, all right, you take gate number 3. We have 2 more to go, brother.
Yeah, we have at least 2 more to go, and we got the first win for the fish, for Baltune. Like, it's always nice to have at least both players win one game. Like it's always nice to at least score one, get off that hateful 0. So I'm really happy with Baltune taking that game.
Now, yesterday, and you guys can take a quick look here as we see a little bit of the brackets from yesterday. Yesterday, I pressed the wrong button, so if something disappears, just let me know so I can fix it. But as we can see here, a lot of the matches from yesterday, they ended up in some 3-0s. Now, of course, this is not what we want to see again today. These boys need to bring their game face, and Baltune is already doing that. Now, I see Vampire Crabs asking, are knights cooked? No, they're just cooked if you run straight into Donzos. There's a reason these boys prioritize our knight civilizations, and we can see why that is. Now, guys, for the rest of the day, we do see Beastie Myriad will be our next match after B and Baltune finishes, and Marine Lord Numadan will be our final match for today. So, out of these 6 players, only 3 will qualify for the Homestead Cup that's taking place here in my house in Serbia. So, Gigi Dog is not behind me now, but her toy is, her puppet is. So, you will get a glimpse of what our life is like here in the Balkans. But of course, so will the pro players. And that is exactly what we're living for here. Let's go back to the lobby. Now, what we have in front of us today is an English veto. And honestly, seeing this, I am in shambles. I did not imagine that anyone would be vetoing English today.
Well, it's Cliffside, I think, if I look at the map, and Cliffside is a really, really good English map. So that's probably the reason why.
Yeah, English is great at those small spaces, especially with a little bit of longbow prowess. Now, of course, we have been seeing players just pull out a longbow here and there, as the king is still the favorite in most cases. But guys, we have an Ayubid Delhi situation, so let's go see what these 2 guys are plotting for us in game number 4.
Game number 4, let's go! And in the red, on the east side, we got Baltune, our Tunis fish, playing their Ubids.
Now, Baltune on the Ayubids is not going to be having an easy time against someone like B on the Delhi, because B is an aggressive boy, as we've seen time and time again. And from what I know about the tuna, he's a little bit of a greedy goose when it comes to the Ayubid lifestyle. The Ayubid lifestyle for Baltune means a nice little fast castle, and if you have enough Ghazi Raiders on top of you, that could just be fast castle into GG. He needs to be careful here.
Yeah, that's always a difficult timing. If the other player has a lot of horsemen, like if it's Pahi or Ghazi Raider, for example, B can even heal up as Ghazi every
Oh
after
no.
every dive. And if you then get a one range defense and you got like 10, 12 Ghazi diving the DC, it's really difficult to keep all your villas alive. But Ayubis has so many good castle upgrades, so many good age ups that you kind of want to get to castle as quickly as you can.
Now, getting to castle can be a little bit harder because with Ghazi Raiders, you are on top of your opponent pretty quickly, but this man is going for the economy wing, and honestly, this is not what I think anyone expected. So, going for a good old eco wing takes me back to those earlier days where I guess we were still figuring out the meta. You were thinking, okay, 3 villagers, that's pretty great, but not just 3 villagers, also a little bit of extra food there on the berry bush. It makes sense. You will usually be able to respond to what your opponent is going to do in feudal, and this is the responsible choice. I just hope that this is going to be the right choice for Baltune, but it does look like he's going to be staying in feudal, and I'm so glad I was wrong about the fast castle lifestyle, because if Baltune tried that against someone like B, he would be in for a very, very difficult time.
Yeah, eco wings just solves. You get 3 additional villagers when the feudal age of finishes, so you get some more resource income early feudal. We see the Dome of the Fate for 3DB. It can produce scholars. Those are the monks for the Delhi Sultanate. They are also, I think, they're slower now and cheaper. I have to double check that. Like, they used to be cheaper, but I don't know if it's only time now that it's only slower now. We see a lot of production balls already for Baltune, going for the barracks and the stable, so he's gonna duke it out in feudal already.
Yeah, juking it in feudal is going to be the greatest choice against the civilization that needs to have this early presence. Horsemen, a wonderful choice when you're up against the Ghazi Raiders. They deal quite well with this. Now, usually the AoE is pretty decent at handling it because they do have those dervishes, but in this case, it's just a raw old AoE. No nice little AoE healing that we usually see out of them. But the first unit, of course, is going to be the Ghazis for the Delhi. And this is something we had a little bit of a different experience with yesterday. A lot of players were going for Ghazi Raiders a little bit later and rather opening with that stable. Baltune here going to open with the second building, of course, with the barracks. He's going to be able to respond to the Ghazi Raiders, but his horseman is going to need to find that damage and keep B under control. Because with this, we do see a little bit of idle time on the TC. Even though it's just 8 seconds. 8 seconds is half a villager, and that 3 villager lead just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, Baltune having some horsemen to raid around and trying to pick off a couple of units. Maybe even add in a desert raider, because you get the camel on ease buff. It debuffs your opponent like for 20% of the damage. So that would be a really nice addition. So those camels, they can look so scary, you know. It's really impressive. B adding in archers already against the spears. And Baltune going for the berries, of course, because he has equal wings. So he gets additional food from the berries. Ayub is very good berry sieve.
So, when we see this type of composition, you know that archers and Ghazis are just going to be a bit stronger the longer this goes. Because with archers, you're handling this pretty well. You're able to kite backwards, and especially when B is in the driver's seat. B has shown us time and time again, he's a micro god. So, Baltune is definitely going to have his work cut out for him. Now, with the Ghazis, you are going to try and find damage out on the map. And that's exactly where we find our Baltuna trying to get a little bit of food here. With, of course, that early game sheep still strong enough. You can see a few more under here, but B definitely got the majority of these with 22 sheep on his side. This man is not your standard Delhi who's going to need to go out on the map and get raided. He's going to be safely tucked into his base without any pressure.
Yeah, and Baltune already adding his own blacksmith to get these military upgrades. B not a blacksmith yet. All the other upgrades are already done. I mean, a lot of them are done because Delhi has 3 upgrades, but they just take more time. And we see a range defense coming in for Baltune against those archers, of course. Archers doing 5 damage, so getting 1 damage off from that 5. It's a 20% decrease. It's a really good upgrade.
Now, with all of these horses, you would think he'd be able to fight this, but the archer numbers are massive. The spears are going to melt, so Baltune with his own archers It's gonna take a while to reach those numbers, but you can see him completely stopping that spear production. He knows what's important. He needs to get the archer numbers up too.
Yeah, that's so dangerous against all those Gaussies already. 7 Gaussies in the field, 8-1 coming out. So you're making archers already against the big horseman mass. And Delhi taking those sacred sites because they can take sacred sites in feudal already. Even get more gold from a sacred site than your average civilization. And their units can build walls. So we're already blocking the middle sacred site with a short wall. The Ghazi was blocking their own unit for building the wall, but it's gonna be finished anytime soon.
Now, the problem is these archers are just going to be able to snipe over the wall, do a little bit of damage over the wall, and slowly these sacred sites are already becoming inaccessible. Now, already 10 Ghazis on the field. Baltune is feeling that timer, and it's not just because the sacred sites are being capped. He's feeling the timer because he knows that Delhi is getting further and further ahead. More Ghazis in queue and scholars to join. Now, of course, the army count is basically even if you take away the scholars, because the scholars are, of course, tucked here inside the base. But it's still feeling pretty scary when you know most of his army counters your composition.
It's still pretty even. Like, he got 9 scholars, almost 10 scholars, so that's like 1300 resources. So the army value is still kind of the same. But B is getting money from the sacred sites, and B is getting a lot of upgrades in, which Baltune doesn't have. So if B can just hold out, I think he's in a better position. Almost got a veil there on the barriers as well.
But only decapping the one site. The others need to back off because the archers, again, are in position. And that's the beauty of having this heavy archer composition. B has a response to most of what is on the side of Baltune. But Baltune, he is still looking at trying to shut this down on the sacred side. Constantly fighting because we know if Delhi gets ahead in feudal, it quickly skyrockets. But quickly we see the horsemen getting on top of B. Absolutely obliterating everything here. And Baltune, he's doing a decent job, but the problem is the front line. The front line's completely melted. The Ghazis are still being kept alive.
Yeah, and we got 4 scholars in the middle, sacred site healing all those units. We got reinforcements coming in, even more scholars coming in. Be really committing to trying to win this fight. So if the mass just gets small enough, doesn't matter if he got the counter unit. 6 scholars can pretty much outheal everything, and Baltune has to back off.
Now, Baltune just losing a ton of his units to that scholar healing. In general, with the Ghazis, they did such a quick melt session there for themselves, but the scholars, they are anti-melt units, just healing up everything, getting them back to standard temperatures. Look at that. That Ghazi is ready for another fight yet again. But you can see Baltune is not ready to give up, but he realizes, I need to win this. So takes yet another engagement here. Spearmen here at the front, trying to do as much damage to the Ghazis as possible. But you can see the archer numbers, even though small, they are doing the work they need. And Ghazis are just becoming way too overwhelming. Scholars, being this far forward, not much is going to be able to take them down.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like, I saw 2 horsemen hitting an archer, and every time the archer got really low, but Baltune taps out and B takes another win.
This is already becoming a pretty scary set here. Now, on match point, B is looking very, very happy with his position. But Baltune, I know we have 4 lakes in the picture. I'm not sure why, because I believe we're going to be watching Relic River. I believe so. Yeah. I don't know if we have 4 lakes in the map pool even. No, we do. We do. See, guys, this is...
You do. Yeah,
okay, okay. So yeah. we just have a duplication.
In the map pool.
Okay.
But that's just not played that much.
Oh, it is 4 lakes. Actually, it is 4 lakes. Finally. Yesterday, we had a few 4 lake images that were all relic rivers, and I got really confused about those picks. But our picks here are going to be needing to show that type of, how can we say, the sneaky play that we see from B very often. B is someone who can look at the meta and he completely turns the meta on its head. But we'll see if that's going to be the case here, because we have Zushi and Order of the Dragon for these two. Now, Zushi and Order of the Dragon, both civs that we don't usually see Zushi here, but Order of the Dragon, they do get picked here because it's just a very well-rounded civilization, especially on the water.
Yeah, and then Sushi, of course, has some bonuses as well. Like you can supervise the lumber camps, you get additional wood, you can build more fishing ships. A couple of times you get some crazy meditation gardens, which gives you a lot of food and wood as well. But we see Baltune on the Heart of the Dragon playing in red in the north side of the map. Let's go for a duck.
Oh, a nice little duck to feed his army. So, of course, Baltuna is going to be snacking on them fishes. We do see Order of the Dragon sometimes going for Dark Age aggression. But, of course, when you're dealing with Zushi, you know... Oh, dealing with this map in general, there's two sides you get to go. And if you choose the wrong side, things can just not go your way as easily. B is going to go for a Dark Age play, aka... going for the dock most likely. He does need to... Ooh, there we go. I was about to say, where is that thing? But red does make it a bit more confusing than other times.
Yeah, and Sushi also has a faster building speed because it's a variant from China, and China has some faster building speed as well, so that duck goes up like really, really quick. I'm looking for some potential meditation garden, but I'm not seeing any hot spots as of yet, so it's probably gonna be like on the berries, gold, and some wood. It still gives you like a nice income, like maybe 80 to 90 resources. So that's what you gotta do. And meanwhile, they're collecting sheep.
Oh, I'm trying something, guys. Give me a second. Give me a second. Oh, there we go. Hey, I did it. Okay. Split screen, baby.
Cow would be proud, you know.
Almost perfect.
Cow's gonna look at this and like, oh, I wish I was that good with video production.
We did see the little windows pop up there, but scout on scout action. Yeah, Twitch chat, what can I say? Casting, pressing the buttons, and only making 16 mistakes. But with that loot we see here, it does feel pretty good, seeing that the sheep are evenly split. Finally, we get a situation where it's more even. And now the water is going to make the difference. The sheep is usually just a little bit of a fallback, but still, you do want access to that when your water is under siege.
Yeah, it's nice to have sheep in your base for a rainy day, but you hope to have your food income through fishing boats. Having these additional fishing boats means you got more food eco, because fish has a higher food gathering rate than like berries or something, so that's why a lot of people go for fishing. But that also means you can easier transition into castle, and Zushi has such a good castle age. They have a quicker age up with the Tang dynasty. You can easily supervise the stable. You get very fast lancers, like they come out very fast. Even if you go like the Mount Luke Academy, you got a resource that even improves your supervision, so you get even more lancers, even more faster. So that's such a huge and difficult timing to deal with as an opponent.
Yeah, and Baltune, he's loving his little seaside here. The Swedish man, he knows that there are nice waters out to just keep on expanding onto. Not going for any units on land just yet. He's going to make sure that he's ensuring the water is on his side. But the real question is why he doesn't try to be aggressive with it. Order of the Dragon, they are so good at taking control of the water, but at the same time, the man is just trying to play it safe, get the food he needs, and do that switch over pretty quickly. Both of these guys off of gold completely, or still not on gold at least, but the difference here is, with Zushi's legacy, you very rarely need to touch the gold, because of course, you have enough taxes coming out from the wood gathering.
Yeah, I already saw the Imperial official dropping off some text, like you have to do that manually when it's supervising. But it's just an additional interaction you have to do. They also need less gold for the age up, because they are in the Tang dynasty. So they got a little bit cheaper age up as well, even to feudal. And yeah, we see a heavy investment to boats. We already have 7 boats for both players.
Now, Order of the Dragon is a civ that always looks like they have a little less villages. So now, their economy is still really nice, especially considering you are just a civ that gathers more, drops off better. Zushi, they match that pretty well. Oh, and we do see B now having the right amount to click that age up. But like you said, we need to look at some positions for that meditation garden. And honestly, getting 2 golds might be okay. But there's just no juicy spot to put it down. Here you could get some wood, berries, and gold, but at the same... Oh, and that's exactly where they'll put it. No stone gonna be in that lucky packet today.
Well, at least you made a really good guess, and you told B where to put his meditation garden. So that's the caster experience, I guess. Mine are coming up for Baltune. It has some special upgrades for your units. It has cheaper upgrades, research faster. No Aachen Chapel. The Aachen Chapel of the Order of Dragon has a little bit less buff gathering rate than the HRE does. So that seems makes sense.
Now, with the switch over to gold here, with 4, I'm a little bit... Oh, 5. I'm a little bit sus. But, oh, 4 again. But even 4, that's a pretty big number when we are just going for a little bit of water play. Now, of course, this could mean that he's just going to go and make sure that he gets the military ships needed, because military ships, they also cost a little bit of gold. Not that much, though. Not 4 on gold worth. So I'm feeling a little bit sus here. Baltune playing a double safe on this lake, making sure that he gets all his fishing boats safe and secure and has the vision for if anyone tries to put down a sneaky dock.
Yeah, the counter dock play, like if you manage to pull it off, it's really rewarding, because if you get one archer ship on the pond of your opponent, you immediately can kill a lot of fishing ships, and your opponent has to react with military ships himself. And it's really hard to estimate how many military ships you need, because you don't know how much your opponent's gonna invest. Meanwhile, we see barracks coming up for Baltune, and B with 4 on gold. I'm guessing he's gonna go for a pretty quick castle age.
Definitely. We see with 1 horseman in queue. Ooh, and getting a boat of his own. He's just making sure that this lake is not going to get docked by his opponent. And it's the reasonable choice. You don't want to risk anything here. And getting all those extra docks to just prioritize the drop-off time. He wants to make sure he gets the resources he needs early on. Now, with Baltune going for a barracks, this is fantastic, but of course it's a natural response when you see a good old stable. Both of these guys, though, they are not producing too much, and this is just telling us one thing and one thing only. Both of them are going for the Castle Age, and honestly, Order of the Dragon Castle Age, that's my vote.
Oh yeah, both castles are really good. Like Order of Dragon, most of the time just go the Burgrave Palace, because it gives you cheaper units and faster production. So you already have your production up if you build the Burgrave Palace. And it always has value for the entire game, because it's always gonna give you cheaper units. And B, yeah, Mount Lu, Shaolin Monastery, both are reasonable choices. Shaolin Monastery can make monks, and they can hit pretty hard, but you can also pick up the relics pretty quickly. And Mount Lu has some special resources as well. Like you can get additional Imperial officials, you can get more money, you can improve your supervision. No, a lot of good age up possible.
Now, we see B is doubling down on making sure nobody is docking on his side and getting that second military boat, 1 on each lake, to secure this for himself. Baltune, you mentioned about the fact that they can get value of this all game, but what's most important is the value compared to the Regnus Cathedral. The Regnus Cathedral gives you double the gold on relics, but of course, when you're up against Zushi's Legacy, you know they go for Fast Castle as well. And Fast Castle, they have a pretty good amount of movement to try and secure these relics early on. So it's very unlikely you're going to get as many as you need to get the same value as you do out of the Burgrave Palace. The Burgrave Palace, if you are constantly producing from it, it is going to be on par with a 5 relic Regnus Cathedral on your side.
Yeah, we see even a stable coming up for Baltune, so I guess he's gonna go in those gilded knights. You know, those have the power of 2 knights, so they can easily kill a lot of vills. Like, don't pay attention to your gold for like 10 seconds, all your gold vills will be dead. And we see the Mount Lu Academy coming in for B, so that's the age up with the special text.
Now, as it gets completed, let's take a quick look at the costs here. 130 to 26. This is so cheap. It is so cheap. As you guys can see, it is heavily discounted. So this just means you spam it like a regular men-at-arm, especially when you have this much food income coming from the fishing boats. So this is why Order of the Dragon feels so good. But Monastery instantly being popped down as well. We do see Palace Guards coming up from B, and he's gonna try to do something about that. But the problem is just Men-at-Arms, they should be perfectly okay against these Palace Guards.
Yeah, Palace Guards are a little bit quicker. They got a bit more movement speed, but they also have less armor. So you get the mobility thing again. Like the Palace Guards don't really want to fight head on. They really want head on engagement. They just want to run around and try to kill vills.
Now with this we can see the numbers are going to be smaller, of course. This is still a long production time. 20 seconds per unit here. It's going to mean that the numbers are... It's going to take a while to reach there, but there's a knight. And the knight, that is the big question mark. Where does this guy go? And when we find out, let's put a little bit of a follow on him to see where he prioritizes this bad boy to actually hit where it hurts. So this knight, I was going to do picture-in-picture because I assumed that he would send this elsewhere. But it's so chonky, he sends it straight to the middle of the map to try and fight this off. Very quickly getting deterred here by all the crossbows. B's response already preemptively being, you're going to go for armored units. Let me deal with that. And now, all of a sudden, a horseman feels like a much better idea.
Yeah, like the B already has 15 crossbows on the field, so they melt Gilded Knights as well, and they melt Men-at-Arms. So having your own spear crossbow mix maybe against the Palace Guards and the crossbowmen would be good. But opting for a lot of horsemen or a lot of spears as well. But now you're gonna kind of losing control of the relics and be already getting some relics in. I wonder how many relics both players will get.
Right now, Baltune is on a single relic, and the other relic goes over to B. So behind this, no one has a significant lead on the relics, guys. And for now, I want to keep the eye on those knights. And we see them finding a little bit of a connection, instantly getting a reaction here from the army here at the back. But the Palace Guards are the ones paying the price. And you guys can see the relics. Then the bottom left corner. The UI does require a little bit of clicking to get there. But in the end, at least we get to see a few knights trying to do the work, but another relic trying to be picked up here. The spearmen in position though, and it looks like they want to take this fight, but those crossbows are gonna be... Oh, never mind. They're standing right at the front, taking all the beating, and this is not the crossbow fight you want.
No, but the crossbows can kite at least, and spearmen do pretty well cost effectively against crossbows. And the main thing is Baltune just wants to get that relic, so he wants to just chase those crossbows away to get the relic back to his base, losing another monk there with the relic in hand. And now we got two split armors fighting on multiple spaces of the map, so it's a lot of multitasking to do.
And this is usually where you lose control of games, when you need to focus your attention on both sides. We do see those knights finally losing a little bit of attention here from Baltune. Baltune is like, hey, I need to win this spearman against crossbow fight, so that knight gets to stand still and rest for a quick moment. But behind this, the wood is starting to run out. We see a lot more villagers being pulled over to gold here as well. And B just trying to get every bit of a resource that he can. But let's take a quick look at those relics as well and see how many have been picked up in this time. 2 over on the side to Baltune and another 2 coming in for B. So B is going to be able to win that war if he makes it back to base.
Yeah, and B also has a couple of more fishing ships. So if you look at the income, like the income of gold is really good to B. Baltune on the other hand has way better food income. I know he took the first upgrade in the dock for the food, for the fishing boats. I hope he took second as well, because that's a huge difference. Fishing boats carry more food, they are faster, so it really boosts your income by a lot. No, not the second one yet, as of yet. And you know, getting sacred sites, you know, more gold, it's always nice.
Now, Baltune's army is starting to get to a scary, scary number. And B, he stopped making units. Now, when you stop making units, you start oh, never mind, he hurt me, Bart. The moment I started yapping about it, he was like, oh, let me make some units, throw her off. And now, gonna be going for Jugenu, though. And I really like this. I like this because he's seen... This man is not going for anything else, but all of a sudden, they are going to connect, and the problem is there's a few sneaky boys here in the mix. Gilded Lunchknechter, and those guys, they are going to make any army melt, especially with what B's showing us, constantly just standing still and fighting in melee.
Oh yeah, I really love Baltune's army composition. Like he's got the spears which are really cost effective. He got the horsemen against those crossbowmen and against those Huguenot. The palace guards are great, but they don't really want to fight head on. And this is a big engagement. We got some knights and horsemen not really knowing what to do. We got some pathing issues right there. And meanwhile, the crossbows are just having a field day and shooting everything inside.
The problem is just the crossbows are not going to do enough against these horses, and you can see that those crossbows are running for their lives right now. The one Lunchknecht still alive, cleaning up everything in his path, but now the spearmen trying to get their way through. A scout will pay the price, poor guy, he was just there visioning. But now the crossbows, they need their support, and the support is going to need to be a bunch of spears. But with that, now Baltune is transitioning. He's going for crossbows of his own. The palace guards in the mix, they definitely have done their work, but they're going to get harder and harder to handle with just going for melee units.
Yeah, and the gilded crossbowmen are really strong. They pack such a punch, and you even got a couple of upgrades for them, which makes them even better. But we gotta use engagement again. The horsemen are like, yeah, with a couple of spears we can face tank them. We're just gonna clean up this army and take control of the map. We want those sacred sites. We want control of those gold veins, and be losing more and more army. Horsemen on top of those crossbows. Crossbows dropping like flies. Another one goes down, and another one. And we got some spears and crossbows cleaning up those spears on the right as well. And B is gonna get pushed back by a lot.
Now, with the sacred sites, he's been getting a little bit of extra resources here, but Baltune and B are pretty much neck and neck when it comes to the income. And the problem is just Order of the Dragon, the later this goes for them, the better they feel. Especially with all of these discounted units, but also just being so much chunkier and so much better at raiding when you start getting onto these smaller woodlines. Now, the army, it might get cleaned up here, and it does look like that's going to be the case. And Baltune pulling away with these very mobile horses, he will have to go and fight another day. Now, this is the interesting part usually for Order of the Dragon. They can start to switch over to having a bunch of prelates and getting their inspired warriors as well. Because with inspired warriors, Order of the Dragon, it feels a lot different fighting against anyone. But Sacred Site Victory has not been decapped just yet, holding on by the skin of their teeth. Skin on teeth? Yes.
Yeah, by the skin of the teeth. Yeah. That's the correct phrase.
Thank you. Language teacher, Bart. Appreciate it.
yeah. And oh, the spearman just got pulled off, probably by an army select something, and he just pushing into Baltune's base because he lost a lot of those horsemen and cavalry in that choke point. Bay took a really good fight inside of the bay, forcing all these melee units in that choke point, taking a big fight in front of Baltune's base again. Baltune now has defender's advantage. Its reinforcements are quicker to arrive than bees. He pulled back the horsemen just so they don't get targeted by those spears, and he got a lot of spears of his own trying to tank the front line. And those crossbows are having a great day and cleaning up B's army again and pushing them back. It's going back and forth just all day.
Now the problem is, Order of the Dragon, their crossbows are just so much better. As we can see, these guys just absolutely obliterating everything. The poor Mr. B, the thing is, they do look like crossbows, but a lot of these are Huguenots, so the Huguenot still doing pretty decent work against these horses with firing 3 arrows at a time, but also not just doing as much. Now, again, we are pretty much equal when it comes to the villager count, because of course Baltune does have those extra strong villagers, extra gathering villagers. B, he's overfishing. When you look at 43 fishing boats, this is not a sustainable amount that you can have on these waters most of the time. So let's take a quick look and see how this is going. Yeah, some of these are starting to replenish, but it does mean that he's going to have these bursts of food, and it's not going to be always consistent. He did try to go and cap a dock here on the side of Baltune, but he was ready and shut this down pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's pretty even state of the game now, even though we're 20 minutes in. B pushing and proking. Not really going for Imperial Age as of yet. They're just massing units, taking upgrades, trying to get some control of the map. We see a couple of walls for Baltune, but not that much for us. It's still really open and anybody games.
Yeah, of course, with B's map control, he's looking a lot more commanding on the map compared to Baltune. But with this army, he's pushing in, and he's fighting against a very scary one at that. This army is not going to do too well when the horses flank around. And we'll see if that's going to be the way Baltune tries to place this, because those horses, they look very confident about moving forward.
Yeah, and Baltune has a lot of crossbowmen from himself backing the army up. It's 15 kills crossbowmen. It's really hard to judge. Oh, almost baited the brace and now going back in, trying to trickle away those spearmen front line so the horsemen can kill all the other units in the back. And we got a huge engagement again. Crossbows going up in front. Front line for B is dropping and horsemen are breaking through and they're gonna go to the back line. They're gonna wrap around them and they're gonna kill all those Zugunu and they're gonna kill all those crossbow. They are so much faster. They can just run past them and then poke them with their spears.
A Baltune cleaning up this whole army disgustingly with all these very spicy horses. We do see desperation spears coming through. He needs to try and stop this, but the problem is those men-at-arms in the mix, they definitely soaked up so many of the shots, which just means the trades could not feel as effective. Zugunu just not looking like the powerhouse we've experienced on ladder up until now, but the Grenadiers are also in here in the mix, and he's hoping that they throw rockets because these little grenades are doing what they can, but look at these gilded crossbowmen. They are just going to move forward and break everything in half.
Oh yeah, be trying the same choke point again, but he just doesn't have enough units. The Grenadiers are debuffing the opponent's units so they get even more damage, but it's not enough if you don't have other units trying to dish out the damage. You don't have the DPS, and B's gonna lose his entire army, and those horsemen just gonna run around and have a field day.
This army is looking scary, and it's just not stopping. Baltune's red trickle is coming from all across the map. And Baltune, he's starting to get into a spot where he can just get that map control we talked about earlier. Not even caring about standing under the towers, under the DC. They are just soaking up all the fire they need. And B, he needs to think about his next game plan.
Yeah, Baltune's just gonna camp the production buildings, you know, gonna stand on top of them. He already has 1000 stone. I hope he's gonna drop a keep just in the middle of the base. I think he can get away with that, and that would be the final nail in the coffin. Oh, even villagers, all the gold dying to a couple of raiding horsemen, and that Spearman Tower won't be enough to kill them all.
Now, with this keep, he is sending a message. Baltune says, get out of my game. And B will have to try and win the next one. So guys, Baltune taking the second game off of B. This does not mean he is feeling calm about this one. Because of course this is still a 3-2. B is one game away from qualifying, but Baltune, he's got to say something about this. Because of course, only one of these two can make it to the Homestead Cup, and if they don't, who knows? Maybe we have some Canadians next week who are thinking about exactly that same thing. Let's go and see the next game between these two. I see Beastie and Myriad is getting ready to draft as well. So, you know, things are heating up. They are confident in this. So let's go see if Mr. B is ready to close this out or if Tuna has something to say about it. But of course, we have Baltune on the Byzantines. A civilization that has been looking scarier and scarier with time, but a little bit of a different opening here for him.
Yeah, and on the right side of the map, in the color green, we got B playing as the Holy Roman Empire on Relic River.
He's already starting this game out in very much HRE fashion by just going for a barracks. Now, luckily for him, there's also a nice patch of deer up front, but he knows where he needs to put his scout. He needs to find out where the gold is, where the berries are, so that he can do the raiding work.
Yeah, the spears are gonna have a lot of value on this map. Like, some people like to dock in the middle because you got some fish there. It's not the most efficient, but it's an option. And you also wanted to raid their gold a little bit. You want to tower the berries because if you just let Byzantine do what they want, they will just skill really fast and they will get out of control because Byzantine got a great eco with their cisterns and with their berries and their oil.
Now, this is pretty surprising to see. Only having 1 on gold here means the Baltune assumed there wouldn't be a follow-up. But now, there's 2 spearmen on his gold, and he doesn't really have a backup. The boys! The boys are pulled. The spears are ready to fight this and take control of their gold. But this is going to be a tough one. We do see one of the spears having to pull back, but B invests another one. He wants to get more spears and make this even harder for Baltune to access.
Yeah, Baltune trying to get the 200 gold he needs for the A job, and B was just gonna poke those villagers, trying to get some idle time, maybe even get 1 villager down. That would be amazing for B. And this is gonna be a lot of micro attention. You're gonna need to make sure you won't lose any of your vills. Spearman gets attacked. Spearman's not getting a second hit. A lot of villagers already low HP, and they're gonna go back to the base because they have the gold they need.
Now, this is just that constant pressure we see from the HRE, and in the early game, this is so important. You want to set Byzantines on a weird path so they don't feel as confident to just overtake and destroy. But now, with the berries he's gotten here, he's already putting himself in a good enough spot to get that first pack of mercenaries, but he has a hippodrome. And the problem with the hippodrome in this scenario is the fact that you are playing against someone who already has the answer to your units.
Yeah, you're making horsemen into spearmen, of course, but you also have the triumph ability of the hippodrome, which gives you your units a lot of additional damage. It also gives you a little bit of healing, so you can tip the scale of the fight in your favor if you triumph at the right time.
Now B is very set on burning this camp down, and he is doing a fantastic job at that. But what is Baltune's follow-up here? Now, if we look a little bit at his base, we can see that the woodline that he's going to have to access here is going to be in a pretty vulnerable spot when it comes to a little bit later of the game. Very far away from the TC, open for raids, and the Mightwork Palace being rushed up with 6. I feel like Mr. B is not looking at making this a simple one.
No, B just gonna go for the same or Holy Roman Empire play that a lot of people do, the Mightwork Palace, because it has an upgrade which increases your spearmen and horsemen damage. You got cheaper upgrades, military upgrades, they are faster, and with the new technology in monasteries, monastic shrines, that gives you farms around your monastery, you don't need to go Aachen anymore.
Yeah, Aachen is a great boost at your economy overall, but it does not have those very special upgrades that we'll take a quick look at in a few moments. Now, those spears, they've just been annoying. They've been absolutely everywhere. They've been annoying. They've been raiding places, but they've left the gold alone. So now Baltune can think about what this means for him, but he does go for that first patch, or the first group of longbowmen. Now, getting the longbowmen out is wonderful. It feels good, but the problem is, he does not have a lot of olive oil. So these longbowmen, he's going to need some big packs to really make it work. And I just don't know if he's going to have that access for too long. And we do see with those spearmen, they do have the ability to get the dock there as well. And behind all of this, still 6 on gold. So the upgrades are slowly going to be trickling in here too.
Yeah, Baltune still has his berries in the back of his base, like on the completely west side you see a small patch of berries next to the deer, so we can get more oil in that position, and it's pretty safe as well. Longbowman, just really good unit, but it's hard to get a mass up as Byzantine, and yes, that's the upgrade I mean.
So with the Alpacks, those horses and spears are going to be hitting like trucks, and horses, they don't mind those longbows too much. Now, with all of this, we still see 11 villagers on food. And when you have 11 on food, this usually means your horseman production is going to feel fantastic. But ooh, one lone little villager gets caught out and he does need to pull back. But B is the micro god and he gets the surround and the kill. Longbows now will try to take revenge, but they're not that fast. They might get 2. Never mind. I called it incorrectly. Poor guy. And 2 spearmen will make it back home. The thing is now, he is trying to find his own damage. He realizes, hey, you did get your value, you got a villager, and you're the HRE. So you have a lot more things that you get to fall back on.
Yeah, meanwhile he's adding in cisterns and aqueducts to connect those cisterns to each other because they get a higher water level. And with each water level increase, your villagers gather more resources. So that's one way to skill. Going to the back of the berries now. But probably gonna add another system for those berries. Only wants the deer for now. And he's just trying to mass up all those longbowmen, trying to get enough oil for a big longbowman mass. Get the 1+ ranged attack, and those longbowmen will shred anything.
Now, I'm a little bit surprised here to see 3 prelates. This means he forwent production on villagers and rather went for prelates. Now, of course, it makes sense considering the bonus they give, but it's still a strange feeling to see this from the HRE because, of course, he wants to get that eco inspired. They work harder, they work stronger, and the problem is he's got all the eco upgrades now to keep this push going. And a push, this one's gonna be scary.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you look at the calculations, one prelate will buff up 8 villagers, and it is a buff of 40%, I mean, after 35 something. But it's way more than getting 1 villager out of your TC, so predators will always help your economy more than the additional villager. But Baltune is getting pretty widely spread now, with the berries in the back and the deers on top, with also berries there. So those horsemen's gonna run around trying to pick off some vills.
Now, with this, B is getting himself a nice little tower here to protect him, because at the same time he's pushing. He's being the one who's aggressive, but he is pushing while having the option to go to castle. And you can see, with all of this, Baltune is trying to expand his network to make sure he's got the bonus, but even these poor little villagers are not getting the boost they need to keep working extra hard. Now, the horse is already going back to the other side of the map. There is another group here from Baltune looking to do a little bit of a counter raid themselves. But both of them standing on the same side of the map, so B, he knows that he rather needs to defend than just commit to a raid. There's just no easy place for him to do so.
Yeah, and Baltune just investing in a lot of resource upgrades, trying to get his economy up, and B, meanwhile, transitioning to castle. Baltune with longbowmen, limited and horsemen. If B just gets a mass up of men-at-arms, he's gonna be in a huge problem.
Now we do see he's got some units to handle this, and the Limited, they are definitely the answer to do so. But he also gets to go for that castle. He spotted the tower, he knows what's going on, he knows what he needs to do, and apparently what he needs to do is get his own raid going. Now, these 2 horse groups having their own agendas, but a villager does not go down. Very quick work here from B. He does eventually get another one, and the second goes down, but a beautiful surround here. Oof. He's doing a good amount of damage.
The prelate is huge. Taking out that prelate is way more potent than taking out Vil. Prelate is more expensive. It boosts your eco more than just 1 Vil because it boosts 8. And we got the Regnus Cathedral coming up for HRE. We're going for the relics.
Now, that makes a lot of sense. Of course, you're not going to get the same amount of value from the burger for the HRE as you do from your usual OOTD. Now, this does feel like he has the control to be able to capitalize on this, but he still needs to be careful. Of course, with the docks he's got here, he's going to be able to pick these 2 up pretty easily. But the ones in the middle, they are going to be the contested area as well. Now, Baltune is everywhere on the map trying to make sure that the units can't just run amok and cause the damage, but B is going to hit that castle age first, and this is also going to mean the upgrades faster.
Yeah, and Baltune going to Castle Age himself. He's got more units on the way, trying to prevent B from getting those relics, because every relic he gets gets improved by the Regnus Cathedral by 100%. So an average relic gives you 80 gold a minute. That's the equivalent of 2 Vils on gold. But the Regnus boosts it with another 100%. So now you have 4 Vils on gold for every relic you manage to take.
And you can see his response to this is not trying to age up at a normal time, but rather just going for a good old Golden Horn Tower, with 12 villagers. 12 villagers is a significant amount to invest here, but it's also so that he can start going for those relics himself. Now, with all of this B behind it, let's go see. Going to get a market to just rebalance that economy, but men-at-arms are the name of the game here, and I love this. Because Baltune is going to need some time to make something to deal with that, and he doesn't even have an archery range to handle it.
Yeah, we also see a couple of knights coming now, because you like knights, you have the map control, you can raid around, you have the mobility, you can always put pressure on different kind of spots of the map. Golden Hounds are now up, giving 3 units as well, because it spawns it spawns veteran units, and it also spawns mercenary units. So that's a nice addition to your army. And first relic already taken. Yes, there's the first relic coming down.
Now that, first relic, I thought as well, but no, he's already got 2 in the base. Horseman getting dangerously close to being converted. Oh, I was about to say, he almost got 2 there. Tuna.
Yeah, we got a conversion. It all happened. It succeeded. We got one. Yeah, didn't even get deleted. But meanwhile, in the middle, with the triumph ability, trying to chase down that couple of horsemen. But B already having a lot of units in his base already. He already has knights there. He already has archers. He has crossbows. He has spears. Like, B is set up for getting all those relics inside his base.
And the problem is, we can still see that relic count. Nothing is getting shut down. Now, of course, with this army, Baltune is going to be able to do a little bit more of a pressure as he moves onto the villages here. Might get a few victims too. But as far as this goes for Byzantines, economically, he's still in a good spot. The problem is just, it doesn't look like he's about to win this fight because this is a scary army and those longbows are not equipped to handle these men-at-arms or the horses.
Yeah, or the knights. And Baltune has to throw away all these infantries. There's no way he can stop those. He doesn't have enough spearmen. The longbowen are just too slow. They have a lower movement speed than your regular archers. Baltune trying to take the fight, tanking with the cataphract, tanking with the horsemen, trying to hold the line, but he will lose everything.
Those longbows are doing the best they can with a bit of life they have left, but the last set of these longbows are gonna be paying the price with Baltune's overextension. Cataphracts trying to make their way here just in time. The longbows are not able to kite and move backwards, but that's the sad part about this. They are trying to find their way through, but every single corner is covered by the units. B is just unstoppable, and he's got crossbows.
Yeah, and some good micro can be using his archers to take down out those longbowen, because they don't really do damage against the cataphracts. Knights killing those cataphracts. Triumph getting popped, but only for 2 cataphracts. That's not enough. That's not gonna save them. And Baltune is gonna push back in his base again.
And Baltune's army, it's just in a state of disrepair. There's just nothing he can make right now. He's got 3 farms total, and we can see the olive oil per minute, only 23. Behind it, B has picked up his 4th relic, and Baltune knows this might be the last time he is competing this weekend for the Homestead Cup.
Yeah, it's looking terrible for Baltune. Yes, he does have his 5 systems. Yes, he does have a lot of berry and a lot of oil, but he also has an army inside his base. An army he can't really beat, so he's under a lot of pressure. He's being pushed off his goal. 4 relics, 4th relic almost gonna go in. 5th relic in the south, pretty easy to take for B as well. And yeah, we always say that A3 on 3 relics is pretty disgusting, because they get so much gold, additional gold income. But A3 on 5 relics, that's amazing. That's like Exodia and Yu-Gi-Oh! How do you beat that?
No way! This poor guy has sacrificed all of it. And now Baltune, losing a few extra villages here. He doesn't want to give this up just yet. Oh, and this veteran archer doing the work he needs to keep everything under control. But you can see Baltune, he's stuck with the units he's got, and he cannot produce anything else. Every bit of resources he has goes straight towards cataphracts. But B is ready for that. He's just getting more and more crossbows.
Yeah, and even when the cataphracts are better than your average knight, it's still a matter of numbers. Like, if you get 12 or 13 knights against 4 cataphracts, the cataphracts won't win that, because the knights are just with way more people, and then it's a numbers game. Also 3 sacred strikes for B. He still has 10 villagers on goal as well, but he doesn't need to. His gold income is insane.
B, let's go see, did he? Yeah, he picked up that final relic. Oh my goodness. Now, just the massive amount of relics with the sacred sites. This man, it's like he's got 20 more villagers just from all the income on his side, and that just feels absolutely disgusting. Baltune about to mine out that last bit of gold, and the next gold, it's pretty far out, especially when your opponent has all the control in the world.
Yeah, Baltune trying to stay in the game, trying to get some raids going, trying to get some favorable fights because he does know it's match point. Longbow trying to take out those crossbowmen, but getting pushed back by those knights again, and B's just gonna stream units. We see 4 more knights in the queue, we see 4 more crossbows in the queue, we even see 8 prelates already, and Baltune pushing it back again, trying to get out of his bait, trying to get control of that second gold vein. That's really gonna be really important.
Now he gets the control of the gold for now, but the problem is just what happens if one single knight comes and visits, and he's showing us again and again, this is exactly what B intends to do. He intends to raid. Actually, B doesn't need to do anything. B just gets to sit back, relax, and win the game if he wants to. Now with this one cataphract, he's going to try to decap this, and he should be able to, but B, again, is pushing forward. He knows he's got the lead, he knows the damage he's done, and he realizes I've got a lot of resources in the bank and already getting those very expensive upgrades that we do see from the Archon at this point.
Yeah, the army value is such a big difference. B having double the amount of army value, cutting off reinforcements to the second gold vein, even trying to burn the tower. Crossbowmen taking a quick work of those cataphracts. 3 already going down, 4th, 5th going down. Only longbowmen left, and Baltune has to tap out. It's over, it's gone. B has qualified.
Yeah, B is now our next player to make it into the Homestead Cup. Now, guys, B is playing an Age of Mythology tournament, so he will not be here for the interview, but we will have tons of time to interview him in person when he gets here. So he did have to speed things up there at the end to make sure he gets through all of them. See, B goes and he qualifies for a live event in Age of Empires and then just switches to Age of Mythology and continues to do the same. So
Yeah,
pretty disgusting.
We performed there as well, yeah. I think it's always really impressive if you're really good at one game and then just transition to another and be really good at that game as well. Yeah, that takes a lot of skill.
Oh, definitely. This is something that these players, I'm just absolutely amazed by the amount of work that these guys have been doing and how easy they make it look. But yes, guys, we are going to be hopping into the Beastie versus Myriad game next. So we'll be right back in about 3 minutes and we'll continue the show then.